Pitch Perfect has been the backbone to all girly sleepovers since 2012. You know, if the Barnum Bellas weren't invited, then I wasn't coming. And Pitch Perfect will be a continued welcome guest into another trilogy about working together as a team rather than an individual, working together for a common goal, you know, bettering yourselves because of the people around you, and having the two main characters obviously being in love with each other despite being portrayed as straight. Oh wait, we already had that. Pitch Perfect lives up to its name of perfect, if not for, I don't know, the blatant racism and homophobia in the second one, DJ Khaled being in the third one, and the most important point, the fact that DSM didn't win. And I know Pitch Perfect isn't real, but somehow a cappella is real, and I read the book that these films are based off, and based off, very loosely used. The only similarities between these two is that they're both pieces of media about a cappella. You know, Barnum Bellas aren't real. Becca Mitchell isn't real. Fat Amy isn't real. But if this was real, DSM was robbed, and I'm here to tell you why. First, we have to go back to where it all began. The first film. And this film opens with the ICCAs, which is the International Championships of Collegiate A Cappella, numbskulls. And we get introduced to both the Barnum Bellas and the Treble-Makers. And here's my first Barnum Bella attack, okay? So the Barnum Bellas have been around for at least 18 years, and we know this because I took a screenshot of this little picture which shows that the Barnum Bellas have been around. These date back 18 years. So that is at least 18 years. We have at least 18 years of proof, of cold, hard evidence that they've been around for 18 years. So hey, could be longer. And Mr. Higgins says that they are the first all-female group to advance to the ICCA finals. That is, reach the finals, not even win it. And I don't know how long the ICCAs have been around, but that is a disappointment to both the Barnum Bellas and feminism. The Treble-Makers, however, always thrill the judges, which implies that they've been to the finals before. We could even infer even more that they might have won it before. At the very least, we know they've been there, which is more than the Barnum Bellas. And the excuse that they give that females don't make it is because they can't reach the low notes. But riddle me this, Mr. Higgins, can the males
I'm a male
not reach the high notes? So it's the same vocal range, just in different places. The Barnum Bellas have been continuously samey, dare I say mid. They cling to tradition like a dingleberry to an anus. They use the same outfits, they have the same choreography, they use the same songs. You know, they're doing badly. And on top of that, they chundered. They've blundered and they've chundered. That is where our favourite gal, Becca, comes in. And here's my second attack on the Barnum Bellas. They're only good because of Becca Mitchell. And I don't think that's controversial at all. What the Barnum Bellas can do, sing. What Becca can do, mix music, sing. And mixing music together to make a song set is such a huge part of a cappella. You know, having songs that fit together well as a whole set. And Becca does that perfectly. All the other gals could not do that. They had to rely on all the past songs. They've been doing the same thing all the time. Maybe only the first group had put those songs together, and they've just stuck with it the whole way through. These people can only sing. They have no musical talent. This is emphasised in the third movie, where DJ Khaled approaches just Becca to make her a solo artist. And even before that, she was a music producer. So it shows that she is good enough to even make it in the music industry. Major plot point in this film is that they didn't even make it. Okay, they're in the semi-finals and they get beaten by the Footnotes. And you know how they actually end up getting through? Is the lead singer of the Footnotes is still in college, so he can't compete in the finals. And you know how they found that out? Benji, our favourite little wizard, pulls through yet again. And even before that, they only just beat the Soccerpellas at regionals. You know who has won every single competition up until the finals? The Treble Makers. The Trebles won both regionals and semi-finals. You know, the Bellas shouldn't even have beaten the Treble Makers, let alone DSM. Which brings me on to my final point of this film. There is a reason why this film is called Pitch Perfect and not Pitch Progression, because all groups need to be perfect in order to win. And who has been perfect the whole way through and won everything? The Treble Makers. Who has been caca the whole way through apart from their final performance? The Bellas. The only difference for the Trebles is that Bumper isn't there, but unlike the Bellas, the Trebles are good as a group and not as an individual. You know, they've won every single competition, even the riff-off. They won the riff-offs. That's better than any competition. And the Bellas have only just scraped through. Here's a performance chart of both their performances, of all their performances. And this is based on real data and not off stuff I've just made up in my head and what I imagine it will look like. This is real stuff. Progression has always been valued over perfection. You know, everybody's supporting the underdog. And because the Bellas' first performance compared to their last performance has a bigger difference, and it seems like they've grown more, it looks like they've put in even more effort. But the Trebles have had their own troubles. You know, their lead singer dropped out days before the final performance, and they had to get this little magic guy to become one of the lead singers with this other film dweeb. This guy has never performed in his life, at least not to that, capacity. And he does, hey, Benji does perfectly. He does pitch perfectly in that performance. The Bellas have been practicing for the whole year with the same group of people. They've had so much luck to get where they are. They've just scraped through. They shouldn't have won. For the final performances, no matter how bad these films are, they're so good. Like, they both have a lot of heart in it. We got Bella singing to Jessie as a way of apologising. We have Fat Amy singing her first solo song and Party in the USA. And then for the trebles, we have Benji's first performance where the whole show is basically based around him, which I'm guessing it's Jessie who chose the music, which if that's the case, that is so cute. And Benji finally has his dream come true, and he gets to do it with his best friend, who has been the first person to not make fun of him for his magic tricks, and in fact encourages it, and they both make me cry. But it's the fact that the Bellas have made such a turnaround in their performance abilities that they won, like the surprise in their outfits, their music choices, their choreography got them the win. They became a better group, whereas the trebles were the best group. You know, it's the journey, not the destination, and the Bellas just had a better journey. The Bellas are now the first all-female group to win a national title and are the 3 times defending champions, which is a slay. But then Fat Amy chose Cooch on stage, which is not a slay. And now they're no longer allowed to perform at collegiate level, which is code for college level. And their world tour is given to DSM, the European champions, and also the champions of my heart. And here's a little opinion. DSM are the European champions. Bellas are the national champions, the nation referring to America. And here's an idea. Being the European champions trumps the American champions. Pardon the wording, but it trumps America. And just because in Europe there's like 44 or 50 countries, which is made up of so many different cultures, whereas America is just America. I know you've got like 50 states, which is a lot, and hey, I've never been, so to me they're all just the same. But 44 or 50 countries is so many different cultures. In Europe we have nothing but our history. We're rich with history, and that's about it. I feel like America's too forward thinking and they're all kind of the same, whereas 44 countries or 50 are uniting over one thing, and that is that they all love DSM. So just a little food for thought. The Bellas then go to see DSM perform at Car Show, which is fucking hilarious. Like, having a cappella at Car Show is so funny, just because adverts for cars are the most serious things. You see that most recent one with Chris Evans? The most serious thing I've ever seen in my life. And you put a cappella in it? I don't know how to feel. But yeah, DSM is so good that the Bellas end up having an identity crisis, and basically just fall on their ass and have to go on a retreat in order to become good again. That's how big the psychological impact DSM has. Again, like the Treblemakers, DSM beats the Bellas at every single point. They take their world tour. They even beat them at the riff-offs, okay? And they don't show minge. And the leading gal, she speaks 9 languages. These guys are singing in English. They're not even singing their native tongues. Imagine if the Bellas had to sing in German. I don't think they could do that. But now their final performances, and this showdown is way bigger than the one against the Treblemakers. This is for the world champions. You don't understand how big this is. The world champions. I think they made the difference between the two performances too big, just because, to me, for someone who doesn't know anything about music other than how to listen to it, to me, DSM were clearly a way better, just so much better performance, like a cappella wise, and how good their choreography and everything was, just so much better than what the Bellas were doing. A cappella performances are judged on vocal performance, visual performance, and subjective rank according to varsity vocals. And having an original song doesn't really apply to any of those things. I get that originality will probably win creative points, but the only thing on the judges' sheets is creativity of movement and how creative the arrangement is. I'm guessing the arrangement is like the order of songs that they use, which doesn't apply to original music. It's like going to a dog competition, right? And you bring your German Shepherd, a normal dog, and then someone comes along and brings a direwolf. And it's like, okay, it's still a dog, but it's something we never knew even existed. We've never even seen before. Didn't even know it was allowed in the competition because, well, no one was even aware it could be. And it's really hard to judge something that you've already seen before against something that you've never seen before in your life. Especially if the original thing is at its best and you have to compare it to something that's like completely not different but new. It's so hard to compare the two. I'm not saying the Bellas cheated, it's just the difference is just too great, and just because you brought on a load of old lasses onto stage doesn't mean you should win. Some extra little tidbits that kind of weaken my whole argument, but I'm going to include it anyway because I watched the whole of Bumper in Berlin and that time is not going to go to waste. But basically DSM fail, and after the Worlds, when they lose at Worlds, again, should not have happened, they get caught for cheating, but that was only due to Jamila, sorry, I don't know how to say her name. But, you know, that leggy blonde, she wasn't in it. So she, like, left DSM before Jamila joined. So if she was still in the group, I think they would be thriving. So yeah, and the main guy, what is his name? Can't remember. And he becomes like a music guy, and he helps Bumper in Berlin become like a little superstar. And it's actually, okay, so I wouldn't say the TV show is good, but it wasn't entirely bad. And I think Bumper had actually quite like a really good character arc. Like, it made references to his pitch perfect behaviours, which were not very good. He wasn't really thinking of the group. He was always like, me, I'm going on The Voice. I'm going to see John Mayer. Who did he work for? He worked for somebody. He was like, me. But yeah, he made a real big character arc. So, hey, DSM ended, but they're still in our hearts.
I'm sure Bumper has something up his sleeve.
Poopy balls! Poopy balls!